Hundreds of thousands of BizNews viewers have watched our 2 interviews with South African police whistleblower Patricia Morgan-Mashale. But few would know that there is a story even more inspiring behind her whistleblowing, and that is the story of her tragic childhood. Patricia has agreed to speak to us today. Welcome, Patricia.
Good afternoon, Chris. Thank you so much for having me again, and good afternoon to all the viewers out there.
Patricia, I was privileged enough to read your social worker's report. It contains harrowing details of your childhood. Please tell us about your father.
Yes, Chris. I don't know my father. I only heard about him from my mother and from family members. Because I was born in 1974, I was the youngest of 3, and my father died in 1975. He was set alight by his employer. They actually threw petrol on him, and then he set him alight. And then he had very, very bad burns, like 3rd-degree burns, and apparently he died 3 days later in hospital.
Why did that? Do you know why his employer did that?
I don't know. We never got to know the story behind my story. Remember, my father was working in the city, and my mother stayed behind in the rural areas to raise us. So we never got to know the truth behind the murder of my father. Up until now, I have been doing my research throughout the years to find the man who killed my father. But in archives, old newspapers, whatever, I couldn't find anything. So up to today, there's still this question that I ask myself why did he kill my father?
Where did your father work?
My father was a panel beater. So he worked in Bloemfontein in Lombard Street at a panel beater. So yes. The place is still existing. I was there to look, but obviously the place was sold to someone.
So your mother was a single mother for your whole childhood?
My mother was a single mother because when my father died, my mother they were married. My mother was a young 21-year-old widow with 3 small children. I was as I said, I was the youngest. My older sister was about 2 years older than me, and my eldest brother was about 5 years older than me. So yes, she was sitting with 3 kids between the ages of 5 and a few months old, and she was unemployed. She had to leave the rural areas with the 3 kids to the city to come and seek for a job.
And where did she work, Patricia?
In the earlier years, I know she was working as a maid. And then when I went to school, I think it was about 6 years old when she started to work at it was first Santam Bank, and then it became EPSA Bank. And then she worked there up until 1995 when she was struck by a taxi. And she died on the spot. It was eaten.
Where did that happen, Patricia?
In the township of Kameng in Bloemfontein. It was on a Saturday afternoon. She was on her way from a funeral. And when she crossed the street, she was struck by the taxi. The taxi sped away, but when the paramedics or the ambulance came and they turned around. Fortunately, the number plates of the taxi was under her body. So that's how the police could track the driver of the taxi.
And what happened to that driver?
Apparently, there was culpable homicide case. Since we were all still children, because I was still at school at the time, I was about 16 or 17 years old. We also don't know what happened to the case. And at the time, I had step-brothers because my mother was in a relationship. But the father also died prior to her death. And when she died, I was left with my 3 little step-brothers. And I had to raise them myself. They were very small at the time. The youngest was about 3 years old. And he's a man of, he's almost 30 years old.
And how did you manage to raise them? What did you do?
Since I was still in school, I had to find a part-time job. So luckily, I found a part-time job at the university's hospital. It was the academic hospital in Bloemfontein. So I worked at night, and during the daytime, I went to school. 2 of my brothers were already still in school. The youngest one, I had to enroll him in a daycare center. So when I knocked off at 6 o'clock in the morning, I will go home. I will prepare them for school, and then we will all go to school together. And after school, I will fetch them from school. I will do my homework. And then I had to go to work again at 6 o'clock. I will take my books and stuff along. Make sure that there was a lady next door offered to look at them during the night, and then make sure that they've eaten, that the homework are done, and then I will go to work. And then I never slept. I can say I never slept. I was at school during the day, and during the night I was working so that we can analyze.
And what job did you do there?
I was a cleaner at a hospital. So yes, up until my matric year, which I passed with flying colors. And then I became a student nurse after that. And the process proceeded because being a nurse, I also work shifts. I also had to study during holidays. I had to work in during the normal days. I had to go to college.
And what made you decide to become a police?
During the course of my studies as a nurse, I realized that it was not really my calling to become a nurse because I couldn't take the suffering of all those sick people, especially the young babies, because there was a time when I was working in the baby ward, and the small babies who had heart problems, you had to work with those babies, even though their chests were wide open. And then the final decision was when a lady that I grew very close to, she was a patient, she was from Kimberley. I grew very close to her, and she was about to be discharged because she got better. And then that day when I was sitting with her, and I think I went on lunch, and when I came back, I heard that she passed away. So that was the final straw for me. I couldn't take it anymore, and I resigned that same day. I resigned immediately. And I didn't join the police immediately. That was around 1998. I decided that I got married that same year. So I decided that I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom for my brothers. And then in 1991, 2001, my daughter was born the 1st of January 2001. So I decided that I'm going to stay at home to raise my brothers and my own children. And then I got pregnant again in 2002. That was unplanned. But yes, I decided that I'm going to raise my children and try to further my studies. But unfortunately, there was not enough money to further my studies. And in 2007, when my children went to school, I decided that it was time for me to go back to the work market, and that's when I applied to the SAPS. And I got a job in 1 August 2007. I was appointed in the SAPS.
And you worked yourself up over the years. How did you do that?
I wouldn't say I worked myself up over the years. I got a lot of experience over the years, because as everybody know by now that when I started to work in SAPS, I saw that there was a lot of corruption happening. And because of me speaking out about the corruption, I never got opportunities. Even if I applied for promotions, I was sidelined. I got blacklisted because I talk too much, can you say? And yes, I sponged and I made sure that I get as much experience as possible. I worked in every unit in Visible Police, and I made sure that I worked in every unit so that I can know everything in the different units. And in the meantime, I enrolled for my LLB. And I started studying since I saw that maybe if I can get my degree, I would maybe apply to become something else outside of the SAPS or inside of the SAPS. But the prospects of getting a promotion in SAPS was very bleak. And although I had experience, although I had qualifications, although I applied for posts, I was never shortlisted for any post until I was dismissed in last year, 2022. Yes.
Now, why did you become a natural whistleblower? Were those the values your mother instilled in you?
It was the values my mother instilled in me. You know what? I always, when I looked at my mother, every time she talks to me, she will just tell me something as it is. And every time I saw her talking to someone else, she will tell something like it is. And sometimes, or would I say most of the times, it was very embarrassing for us as children, for our mother to be so straight up about things. But then again, at the end of the day, she will ask me, did I lie? If I lie, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be apologetic about the truth, and I'm not going to teach my children to be apologetic about the truth. You speak the truth and you be unapologetic about it. Whatever happens, even if you stand alone with the truth, then you stand alone. Don't follow other people because you want to be part of a group. If something feels wrong, then you must know that it's probably wrong. So yes, that is the teachings. Even though I was raised by a single mother, that is the teachings that I got from her. That is what I taught my children. That is what I taught my brothers. Even my brothers know up until now they are adults. But when I speak to them as children, and they listen to me.
But you've paid a heavy price for speaking truth to power. And you and your children have had to live in fear of your life. And you are living in fear of your life right now. Yep. And I've asked you this before. Have you ever doubted what you've done?
As I said before, I never doubted. And regardless of the price that I paid, regardless of the challenges that I went through, regardless of the challenges that my children went through, I will do it over and over and over again. And even my children will tell you, when you maybe got a chance to interview one of them, that this is what their mother teach them. And wherever they go, wherever they work, they are doing exactly what I taught them. So for us, it was not a question of you have to choose between a rock and a hard place. It came naturally because that is part of our DNA, can I say. It is part of what we are. So should I go through everything that I'm going through now and someone show me a preview of what is going to happen to me, I will still do it again. I will still do it again because to me,
I think there was an observation in the social workers report, I don't have it in front of me right now, that until the bullet takes you, you will not give up. And that really chilled me to the bone.
As I said, that I will never give up. I will love my truth until I don't have a voice anymore. That's how I feel about it. And dying is not something that we don't know. It's something that we don't get used to. But eventually all of us is going to die. I can be held hostage by my fears of maybe getting killed. And then I say that I will not talk out about corruption or wrongdoing because I might get killed. I'm like my mother and my father. They didn't expect that they will die at the times that they died. So anyone can die anytime. So I'm not afraid to die. The only thing that I'm afraid of is to leave my children in a world that are being distracted by corruption. And I was afraid to speak out. That is what I'm afraid.
Thank you. That was South African police whistleblower Patricia Morgan-Mashale sharing her own inspirational backstory with BizNews viewers. Thank you.